So in free agency, it's always a big question mark of which players do you actually want to go after? Yes, you get a player for not having to give up anything, but you still have to give up cap space. That's what you pay in, is cap space. You have a finite amount of resources in the NFL. You have a finite amount of money to spend on players. You can't overspend on these guys. So what are some signings that I think would actually be underpaid and could end up being steals come next year? Let's talk about some of the players that I would be excited if my favorite team signed. So we're gonna go 3 at a time here. Just I figured that would make it more interesting to look at. The number you see next to these guys' names is how many millions of dollars PFF is projected they will get per year. First, you have DJ Chark, who's projected for $11 million. I believe it got around $10 million for a one-year deal with the Lions. And while it didn't start off amazing, it really turned out to be amazing. I mean, he had a key impact for the Lions kind of down the stretch. And I thought that, what he could do on the outside, him being able to win on the outside was effective. And he is someone who his career has not been fully consistent up until this point. So you are kind of getting a bit of that's why he's not going to be getting 20 plus million. I mean, I think you could argue that he's had as good of seasons as Christian Kirk did, but the reason why he's not quite getting as much money is he hasn't done it as consistently and in as big of a sample size. However, I do think that he's someone who I trust to consistently win and things of that nature. So, and he can win on the outside. He's someone I would definitely look at. Another guy, Ethan Pockett, the center who played for the Cleveland Browns last season. He started his career with the Seahawks. He played well there. And in fact, I made my Orlando Ostriches video where I kind of built my own team, and I'll have to make an update at some point to that video for, a year in. But he was someone who, if I remember correctly, I signed him during that exercise thinking, hey, he's a good value signing, is kind of underrated. I didn't expect him to play as well as he did for Cleveland. He was PFF's third highest rated center, and I'm not sure if the NFL has fully realized how good he is just yet. Only $7 million for a potential elite center. That feels like a great signing. And then the other guy, Brandon Graham, who I get that he's a bit older, but with some of the contracts these defensive linemen get, PFF has him projected for just $5 million in free agency for 1 year. If that's how much you're projected for, yeah, sign me up. I will take that Brandon Graham contract easily for 1 year because that's an incredible steal, an incredible value, and he should be great for at least that one season. He was great last year, coming off a great year, and could be a value signing. I'm sure he wants to stay with the Eagles, but still, it's interesting. Next 3. First, Justin Houston. Justin Houston, again, someone who you look at his age and teams say, oh, well, why give him money? Well, because he's still good, still an effective player. $4 million, yeah, sign me up. Jonathan Jones, another guy who, this is an interesting one. So we got a couple corners here, him and Peterson. Peterson coming off a good year, Jones not so much, but, I wouldn't say that. Jones is coming off a solid year, but Jones has had some ups and downs to his career. He hasn't been perfect year in and year out. I don't think he was as good last year as we've seen him be in previous years, is what I would say. But still, they have a 2-year, $5.5 million average. Again, corners are so fluky that in my mind, I want to go into a season having probably 4 guys that I think could be successful because it's so important, but so fluky. He's someone who you can, the flukiness will bring his price tag down, but all corners are fluky, so might as well go to someone who has a bit of a lower price tag. Peterson, a bit older, but he's still an effective player. So if he's only getting $5 million, I don't know, sign those 2 guys, and then if you have another couple guys that you like that can be in your system, that's okay. Now you have a potential for an elite secondary if things work out perfectly. That's what happened with the Eagles. They went out and got James Bradbury, who was coming off a bad year, and it worked out. These guys, not necessarily coming off bad years, but there's something to dislike about them. But my point is, there's something to dislike about every corner, so, go out and get them. Next 3, some more defenders here, as we have Kaiser White from Philadelphia, who, TJ Edwards kind of got all the attention for being the better linebacker, and he was the better linebacker. But I thought Kaiser White was good for the Eagles, and I'm surprised that his tag would only be around $4 million. His price tag would only be around $4 million. So that's something that I do think would be a good fit, I would assume. I mean, he's, it's a system that a lot of teams run now, that sort of cover 2 zone type of thing that they do a lot, and White can run that well. He can be an effective linebacker, and he's someone who I would certainly look at for just $4 million if I needed a linebacker. Deron Harmon is a guy who I think I would just keep signing because he's always so underpaid and always so effective. He keeps going to different teams year after year. Still has like the $2 million suggested price tag, and typically is going to do well. I would be surprised if it doesn't work out with whichever team he ends up signing. Marcus Peters is another interesting one. So he's very similar. I talk about corners being fluky, right? And I think it's fair to say he hasn't had a great season these past, 2021, he didn't play. He was hurt all year. And then he didn't play great in 2022. And that's just going to scare people. It just is. Because he had an injury. He's now over 30, and he's not coming off a great year. That's why he's only projected for $7 million. But if he hits, again, it's not one of those like if you were to sign him and Peterson or him and Jones and they both hit, you could legitimately win a Super Bowl that way, or at least become a real contender as long as you have other talent around because of his upside. And this, for corners, I think every free agency period, it might be kind of one of those things where you go out and you sign a guy or two that has potential like that, and then it's not going to work out every year. But if it doesn't work out, then put a new young guy in or whatever. If he's not that great, well, you're still okay. I mean, even last year, he wasn't that bad. He was just kind of solid. So do you want to just let him go? I don't know. I think that for $7 million, if he's just what he was last year, he's still worth $7 million. Like, that's still worth that contract. And the potential of him being a, potential $20 million player, which we've seen him do when he's at his best, he's always been kind of fluky, up and down, even for a corner. So getting him into a spot where he's played different systems at this point, I'd pay him. Final pick, and also sorry if you hear some background noise. There was some sort of construction thing going on outside. My microphone's pretty good. I'm not sure if it's getting picked up, but just if it is, I apologize. But anyway, Odell Beckham Jr. is the last one I have on this list. He is number 10, and I think it goes without saying why I would like this signing, right? I mean, again, there's the obvious concern. Odell is someone who is coming off of an injury. He did not play for the entirety of the 2022 season, and he hasn't always hit in every situation he's been in. He did not play well in Cleveland, and he did not play at all last season, but we've seen him be so awesome with the Giants, and we've seen him be so awesome with the Rams. He was a great number 2 option that way, and for an $11 million price tag, it says 3 years with $21 million guaranteed, which still isn't that bad. That's only 2 years of, after the second year, you could cut him if that's the price tag. This is so worth it for me. With the potential that you can get, again, the upside here, there's always going to be a risk when you go after a free agent. But if you can get Odell, and he can be awesome, this is how you could potentially, that could be the difference in a Super Bowl win. It was the difference in a Super Bowl win with the Rams. When they went out and got him, that was, I don't think they win a Super Bowl without Odell. I'm not sure which game they lose, but I think they lose one of them because they played so many close games during that run. But I don't know. If I can get Odell, I get Odell. That's kind of just the way that I view it. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Which one of these would you most like to see your favorite team sign, or is there someone else on this on the free agency chart that you think I should have paid more attention to? Because again, these aren't the best. These are the ones who are the the biggest potential value signings. So obviously, if Lamar Jackson's available, yeah, get him. I get it. But there's other guys who I think some of these guys could potentially be the difference in a Super Bowl win or not, but might not necessarily have the hype behind them. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.